Hello again. It's been a while, but we are going to continue our discussion on network functions virtualization. Now, when it comes to network functions virtualization, one of the most difficult things for us is to understand the practical application of network functions virtualization. Because it is virtual, it is kind of difficult for us to realize the application of network functions virtualization. In this video, we are going to address exactly that, and we are going to look at how network functions virtualization can be realized using an example in a telco domain. Let's take an example: internet access with PNFs or physical network functions. The reason I am taking this example is this is one of the most relevant applications for a communication service provider, where they provide internet access to multiple millions and thousands of customers. Now suppose this is me and I want to access internet, and internet is somewhere there. Now, to access internet, I need the support of a communication service provider, because if it is communication service provider or an internet service provider or an ISP, they are the ones who actually provide us the internet as a service. Now, for easy understanding, I have omitted the last mile access network, where I am connected using a fiber broadband, copper broadband, cable connection, or even wireless connection. Now, once I'm connected to the service provider's network, inside the service provider network, we usually have switches, routers, optical gear, etc. Now, these are actually doing packet forwarding. If you can remember our discussion on SDN, you know what is packet forwarding in a service provider network. Now, I need to traverse this network because internet is not somewhere there closer to me. I need to traverse this network, and this network could be implemented using standard physical network devices, or it could be something done with software defined networking. Now, usually when you access internet through a service provider, it's not just the transport network, but there will be some more network functions to be done, usually done on middle boxes. That is the name we use for those networks and network functions. Now, these middle boxes, for example, in the case of an internet access example, could be a firewall function. It could be something like network address translation. It could be something relevant to authentication, or maybe load balancing, or maybe something else, deep packet inspection, etc. Now, what happens when I traverse the transport network? I usually get into what you call the ISP part of the service provider's network, and within the ISP part of the network, you actually have to, rather your traffic will have to go through these multiple middle boxes before you enter the internet. And these boxes are usually physical appliances or physical devices supplied by different vendors, and each box does a very discrete function, for example, network address translation. Now, we discussed in our previous discussion that it doesn't have to be always a physical device or a physical appliance. Since we discussed about the rationale behind virtualizing a network function, now we know that we can actually virtualize most of these network functions using the concepts of network virtualization. Let's look at the same internet access example using VNFs or virtual network functions instead of PNFs. Now, the same person, me, want to access internet, and the same network is there, either implemented on software defined networking or hardware defined networking, and instead of implementing multiple appliances with physical network functions like in the previous case, now the entire ISP network is actually implemented using a data center. Now what is a data center is a collection of computing resources including processing, storage, memory, networking, etc. Now just by accepting our rationale behind that it doesn't have to be always a physical network function implemented on a hardware, we try to implement all the network functions using virtual machines. So we have several VMs because inside the data center it is very easy to have VMs, or in these days we can even have containers. So we have multiple virtual machines. Inside the virtual machines, instead of PNFs or physical network functions, now you have something called the exact functionality implemented using a VNF or virtual network function. Now still my traffic goes through these network functions, but now it is actually going inside the data center, going from one VM to another VM, another VM to another VM, like making kind of a service chain inside the data center, inside the virtual environment. And then finally, when everything is done, like my firewalling is done, my deep packet inspection is done, my network address translation is done, then I am through to the internet and I can access the internet. So I achieve the same internet access requirement, but now eliminating all the middle boxes implemented on PNFs. Instead, I now use VNFs or virtual network functions. That's it for today. I hope now it is clear to you in a practical angle how you can really realize a network function virtualization in a telco domain. We hope to see you again with another example and some more on network functions virtualization. Bye for now.